Yes, sir.
Hello members, this is a short video that will be giving a guidelines on how to fill the declaration of income, assets and liability form, or famously known as wealth declaration form. So we'll take two scenarios first for an ongoing or a continuing public officer, and then in the second scenario we'll look at how new public officers are supposed to fill the same. So we'll start with the first scenario of an ongoing public servant. So they will start by filling the name of the public servant. We are taking an example of somebody by this name. So the surname is normally the family name, for instance, Kirui Ben Cheruyot. Then once they have filled that in that order, they come and fill their date of birth. So take that Kirui Ben was born in, say, 2nd October 1980. In that format, place of birth, I take it as Sotik district. And marital status, there are two forms of marital status. You are either married or single. So if you are divorced, separated, if you are separated, you're still married. And if you are widowed, you're single. If you're divorced, you're single. So there are only two ways you can fill here. It's either you're single or married. Let's take that Mr. Ben is married. And then the postal address. The postal address should be on the institution where you work. So our postal address would be P.O. Box 2406 444 Sotik. Because should they need a clarification, this is the postal address that they will be sending the request. And then the physical address is where you actually live. So take that this guy comes from Cheplanget village. Then the number, the employer's number, the PF number. So for instance, it would be 2019, using that as an example. And then on the designation, you write the designation as prescribed in the payslip. So for instance, if it is a senior, vocational, technical, and technical trainer. And here the name of the employer for our case would be State Department for Tibet. And then you state the nature of your employment, whether permanent or contract or any other form. Then on the number 6 is where you write the name of your spouse. So this is where you give the surname of your spouse, the first name and the other name. And if you only have one spouse, you just cross the remaining part with a single line, like that. Name of the dependents under the age of 18 years. So this is where you fill only the dependents who are below 18 years, who are dependent. So if you are, or if of those, these are your biological children, or those you have been able to adopt legally, but not your brothers will stand unless you have adopted them legally. So you give the name, the surname here, their first name and other names. If there are 2, you will list them here. If there are 3, you list them here. And if those are the only ones that you have, you now cross the remaining part like that. Then on the part number 8 on the financial statement. Now the financial statement, you will now write the financial statement for the officer. But here you will need to know that you will write the name as it appears in order as it appears in the national ID. So take the difference of when you are writing the first here and here. Here is where at 8 you write as they are in the order in which they appear in the national identity. So statement date is the date that you are making that declaration. So for instance, if we take that you are declaring this on, you should not make such corrections, such mistakes where you are wrapping. So you just write 10th November 2023. So if you make such a mistake where you have written something and you need to wrap, you just leave that form and get a new form, because you are not allowed to make any erasement. Now on this part, income for the period of, so for our case the period would be from the 1st of November 2021 to 31st of October 2023. 1st November because it is done after 2 years, so this is 1st November to this. Now for the second scenario where we are a new employee is filling this form, the employee will fill from the period. If they are, for instance, if they reported today, say 10th, say 10th of October 2023, then if this is the day that they report that they are writing, it means this person reported on 10th. The period will be starting from a year before that, so that will mean a year before this would be 2022 9th. It would be October 2023, but on the date a year before this would be 9th October 2022. No, a year 2022. So for the new recruits or the new trainers would be from a year backdated from the day that they reported. So from this period to that back. Then in this point now is where you write all your incomes. For instance, you would start with the gross salary, an approximate amount for the 2 year period. Now let's take that this amounts to 800,000, and then you also give the net salary for the cumulative salary for the 2 year. Let's assume that this amount comes to say 400, for instance, in a case, because this gross salary is inclusive of tax, and also if you have taken a loan, the amount, the net also will be. This is now all that you will be getting as your net. You would also have to indicate any other form of income. For instance, if you have rental houses, when you will say rental income, then you state the amount, approximate amount there. Remember, these figures are just illustration, so these are not calculated. You should just get the correct value of that. Any other income that you will be getting, you list them down here. Then on part C, this is where you list your assets. So your assets are not limited, but include land, buildings, vehicles, investment, financial obligation, all to people from whom the statement is made. So in terms of asset, now you would say, for instance, land at, say, Bomet. You have to give the exact location, and if you already have the title to that land, you give the LR number for that land. If you do not have the LR number, this is where you are going to take advantage of this part 9, where you'll be giving that other information. We'll see that a bit later. So you'll give land, then you say vehicle. If you have a vehicle, where you state the registration number and the title, is it a Toyota, and all that. So we'll be listing all the assets here. And then, of course, the approximate amounts. For instance, if it's a land of, say, 500,000, you state there 500,000. The vehicle, if it is $1 million, you state. And finally, on liabilities, this is where you write all that you owe to other people. For instance, if you have an help loan of approximate amount, and at the time you're making this statement, say show me 100,000. This is just how you're going to fill. Any other, maybe a commercial loan from a bank. From a bank, for instance, any bank, you state the bank, and then you also state the amount. This way you'll be listing all that you owe to people, for instance, and this includes even outstanding fees arrears. State the amount, and also the debt that you've borrowed somebody money. That's a debt, so you'll state the amount made up from friends and family. You'll also state and give them all that information here. On the last part, on other information, for instance, in this other part where you had land, but maybe you do not have the LR, the title has not been transferred to you, you can now come here and start by giving other information that the land stated above. In asset, is still under the name of the seller. Or that title deed process is on. So that this will show that is you have the land, but since it is not in your name, that you will be able to state that it's still under the name of the seller, or that you're processing the title to have it on your name. And then, for instance, any officer who has a spouse who works for the government, you'll be able to state that no declaration made for spouse, since he or she is a public officer and as declared. So any other additional information that will help whoever the consumers of this information to understand what is happening here, so that you may not need to write back to you to seek clarification. Now this is where the officer is going to sign and give the date of signing, 10th of November 2023. And this you should sign in front of a witness. The witness is not to look at whatever you have here, but the witness is just to witness that they saw you sign this, meaning that you own whatever you have written here. So you will have a witness sign for you, give the name and the address of that witness. And when filling this form, ensure that you fill using a single ink. If you started signing using a blue pen, ensure that it is blue all through. Thank you for this short video.